Okay, super annoying. I woke up this morning to realize that my video for this class and French 3 didn't work properly because the slides that I have for you to fill in your notes stopped sharing like 2 minutes in. So I think I figured out why. It was because I had originally shared my screen from my computer and the slides are from my iPad. And I think when I did that to show you the notes, it stopped sharing the slides. So hopefully this recording is working. We're about to find out. 20 minutes later. So you should already have the notes printed out for this video. And as we go through this, the words that are underlined in pink are going to be blanks that you need to fill in on your notes. And then at the end, when you're done completing your notes, you'll actually upload a picture of both pages of your notes to Canvas for points today so that I know that you watched this. So this is Unit 3, and Unit 3's grammar all deals with reflexive verbs. So you actually probably don't know what these are unless you've already taken French 2 or you know Spanish. But reflexive verbs exist in French. We don't have them in English, okay? So to review, there's kind of different parts on your notes, and hopefully it makes it easy to follow because for all the slides at the top, it'll say what part we're in. So if you have to rewind and go back, you are able to do that. So just to review, first of all, because you're in French 2, you should know what a verb and an infinitive mean. A verb is a action word. So it's the same in English, just like in French. The term infinitive, which we use a lot, is the unconjugated form of the verb, okay? So the unconjugated form, that means that in French, it ends in the ER, IR, or RE, that's still attached, okay? And it means to blank, so to wash your hands, to be quiet, to eat something. So now when we talk about reflexive verbs, this is the new part. So for reflexive verbs, what is a reflexive verb? Well, a reflexive verb tells that a person does something to or for him or herself. So in other words, the action reflects back onto the subject. Like if I say, as the example, I brush my teeth, I'm doing it to myself. So even though in English we don't have these types of verbs, we have the verb to brush one's teeth, but it's not considered a reflexive verb. In French it is, okay? Tons of reflexive verbs in French, just like in Spanish, Portuguese, Italian. These do not exist in English, okay? Again, like we don't say I brush myself my teeth, but that's what it translates to in French when you do a reflexive verb. It has the myself or the herself or yourself. And sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it makes no sense. So a reflexive verb has two parts, okay? As you'll see, when you should have already watched your vocab, hopefully by now. That was from Monday. So your vocab has like, for example, you know, like se laver or se calmer. So all of these, hopefully you were like, what is the se word? Well, the se word refers to the reflexive part. So the reflexive verb has two parts. It has just a reflexive pronoun, which is me, te, se, nous, or vous, which is that new little tiny word that you're not used to. And then it also has a verb form, obviously. So now if we look at, in the example on your notes, it's je me couche. So if you recognize this is from the verb se coucher, okay, which means to go to bed, or literally to put oneself to bed is kind of how you can incorporate that oneself word into it. Je is the subject, me is your reflexive pronoun, and then couche is the verb. And you're still going to conjugate your verbs just like you normally would, whether it's ER, IR, or RE. That part does not change. So now you have to know that there are 5 reflexive pronouns, okay? So me, te, se, nous, vous, which you'll see. 1 is repeated because there's 6 subjects, je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle, but there's only 5 reflexive pronouns, and that's because the se repeats. So here you have to note that these ones can become M apostrophe or T apostrophe or S apostrophe if your next word, which is the verb, is a vowel or an H, which is one of your words on vocab. On your vocab, you have, sorry, I have to write over the screen, s'habiller, and that's because the H is silent, so it's pronounced s'habiller. You cannot say se habiller, it does not make sense. So part 3, when you have to conjugate, it's not that hard, I promise. There's really 2 steps to it, okay? So step 1 is you have to change the "se" to the appropriate reflexive pronoun based on your subject, okay? I can't see you writing down these notes, which is why I might be going fast for you, but I would hope that you can figure out that you can pause this video and rewatch and rewind and etc. Because I can't see you writing these down. So you have to change this to the appropriate reflexive pronoun. So this could remain "se" if your subject is il, elle, etc. Okay, but in general, you will change the "se." So that's step 1. Step 2 is you're going to conjugate your verb like you normally would. Whatever subject you have, you conjugate the verb thereafter. Okay, so here's an example. If we take je plus the verb se coucher, you're first going to have, instead of je se coucher, step 1 is to change this guy to be the new reflexive pronoun. So for je, the reflexive pronoun is me. Okay, so that's why we X'd out se. The second step is you just have to conjugate this verb. Okay, je me couche. It's an ER verb. You have to remember your ER endings, E, ES, E, ON, SEZ, etc. If you don't remember how to conjugate verbs, regular verbs, you may want to refresh on that packet, that green packet from the beginning of the year that has the verb conjugation rules. Because the thing is, all of these verbs that you're learning, you'll have to conjugate, okay? So the big thing to note here is that you will still conjugate your verb like you normally would in present tense. That part I'm not teaching you. I am just focused on teaching you these new little words and kind of how to use them, okay? So now you're going to conjugate the verb se coucher on your notes, okay, which means to go to bed, or literally to put oneself to bed. So you can go ahead and pause this video and conjugate it out. You're just going to replace the reflexive pronoun and then conjugate the verb. I'm going to now show you the answers. So you have je me couche, tu te couches, il or elle or on se couche, nous nous couchons, vous vous couchez, and il se couche or elle se couche. So one thing I want to really hone in on is that I'm really picky with how you pronounce these guys. It's not may, because that's in Spanish. In Spanish, the reflexive pronoun is pronounced may. But in French, me, it rhymes with le. Okay? Me, te, se, le. So now we're just going to talk really briefly about body parts. Sounds weird, but you have a couple on your vocab. Like this is all about daily routine. So washing your face or shaving your face or etc. Washing your hands. So when it comes to body parts in French, you technically don't own your body parts in French, like in the French language. So when using reflexive verbs to talk about parts of the body, you're going to use the definite article, the le, la, or les. So for an example, nous nous brossons les dents. That sentence means, like most commonly in English, we brush our teeth. But in French, it literally translates to we brush ourselves the teeth, which sounds weird. If I want to say like I broke my arm, I will not say my arm in French. I will say I broke the arm. Technically, I broke myself the arm. So you always use the le, la, or les. That's why on your vocab it has like les dents or le visage, les mains, I think, which is hands. Oh, look at that right there. If you want to know hand, it's les mains, and it's feminine. Okay, that's hands. Okay, so now I want you to practice. You're going to write down these 6 and you're going to pause this video. You're just going to, they're very short, and you're going to write them on your notes. I'm going to check this part of the part that you upload for your points today. So go ahead and pause the video and do those 6, okay? Now I'm going to continue and show you the answers. So you have je me réveille, tu te couches, Nathalie se brosse les dents, and again you have les and not say, like her teeth. Jean se rase le visage, again you have the face, not his face. Je me douche, mes Luc se baigne. And il or elle s'habille, and again, because you have an H here, H's are typically silent in French, so it's like it starts with a vowel because of that A, so that's why you have S apostrophe. All right, a few more parts. So first you have some irregular conjugations. So I'm just going to show you these. You need to write them down, but again, you will probably have to pause to make sure you get it all. The first ones are the verbs se lever and se promener. These are only irregular because you have to add an accent an accent grave, which is over the E going down, to the conjugations in the boot. This is on the first E, not the ending E. So here you have je me lève or je me promène, tu te lèves, tu te promènes, il se lève, il se promène, nous levons, vous levez, or promener, and then il se lève or il se promène. So the reason is, again, notice here the nu and vous, you don't have the accent grave. You can say levons just fine, but if you say je me lève without the accent, it sounds really ugly. Notice here, like this is not weird, guys, to have a nu and a vous. That is very much a French thing, and it has to do with reflexive. So yes, you have a second vous and a second nu right after each other. The next one is s'asseoir, which means to sit. So you have je m'assieds, tu t'assieds, il s'assied. Nous asseyons, vous vous asseyez, il s'assied. It's a very irregular one. Now we're going to move on to the next one, which is s'appeler. S'appeler, you actually learned this in French 1, like week 1, when you wanted to say, my name is. You say, je m'appelle, with that M apostrophe. It's because it's a reflexive verb. It means to call oneself, literally. The only thing that is irregular about this is that in the boot, you double the L. It doesn't change pronunciations at all. And again, here you have two nus and two vous, okay? So hopefully you're like, wow, we already knew a reflexive verb with je m'appelle. I think this is the last one. It's se sentir, which is to feel. So I feel sad, I feel sick, whatever the case is. Here are your conjugations. It's je me sens, tu te sens, il se sent. The T is silent. Nous nous sentons, vous vous sentez, ils se sentent. And that T you pronounce, excuse me. Okay, part 7, how to form a negative with reflexive verbs. We only have 2 more parts left, okay? So the first thing you need to know is that when you are conjugating in the negative, okay, the ne goes before the reflexive pronoun. Okay, so je ne me, for example. And then the pas is still going to go after your conjugated verb. So here's an example. Je ne me couche pas, I don't go to bed. Again, it's like saying that the reflexive pronoun, the me, is like BFFs with your verb. They do not want to be separated, so you can box them off, and then your ne pas goes around both of those words. The last part is reflexives with 2 or more verbs. So when we talk about 2 or more verbs, I want you guys to remember that we have the same rules in English with 2 or more verbs. You never, ever, ever conjugate the second verb. If you say in English, like she likes sings, it doesn't make sense, but she likes to sing makes sense. To sing is an infinitive, right? In English, it's the to plus the action. In French, you just have the ER-IR-RE attached. So for here, okay, the same rules apply. You're never going to conjugate the second verb. So you are going to conjugate the first verb, and you're going to keep the second verb as the infinitive. The only thing you have to know with reflexive verbs is you are going to change the reflexive pronoun to match your original subject. So here's an example. Je vais me coucher. I'm going to go to bed. The only thing that really changes is that your me is changed because your subject is je. You're not going to say je vais se coucher. That does not work. And again, you have first verb, second verb. You know this is a second verb because the ER is attached. So just some verbs that we commonly use with 2 or more verbs, like they are used as the first verb. You have aller, which is to go, like I'm going to do this. Aimer, to like, I like to go to bed, okay? J'aime me coucher. And again, the me would change depending on your subject. So you could say tu aimes te coucher. Then you have pouvoir, which is to be able to, like can, like I can go to bed. Je peux me coucher. You have devoir, which is to have to. I have to go to bed. Je dois me coucher. And you have vouloir, which is to want. So I want to go to bed. Je veux me coucher. okay? And when you want to do this with a negative, the ne and pas are just gonna go around your first verb. So as an example, je ne vais pas me coucher. I'm not going to go to sleep or go to bed, okay? Hopefully you are welcome to watch this video as many times as you like. Hopefully this makes kind of sense. It's not that different. You still have to conjugate verbs. You're just adding in these little tiny motoso words. So when your notes are complete, you need to upload a picture of both pages of your notes. Make sure your name is on each page, and that'll be your points for today. On Friday, you will have a tiny little practice to do in Canvas. And then next week, it's just all practice. So because Thunder Ridge went remote this week and next week, but because I'm out of town still and not working as much, just checking my email and putting in grades, I'm going to say no Google Meets this week and next week. If by chance we are remote again the week before Thanksgiving, I don't know if we will be, but if we are, I'll let you guys know. It just depends on kind of how things are going here, okay? But other than that, I hope you guys have a great time being remote. Sorry if you're upset about it. Congrats if you're happy about it, but I know we will see each other again. So, au revoir.